Jnanam nilitam kasya jnana yanjala shravakaya chaturunam nilitam chena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shri Khanda Chandanam Devyam Gandharya Samiranam Limkanam Sivishisham Chandramanam Vigayanam Ganda Grimana Durga Deva Devi Tvame Charitam Natas Tvame Charitam Prabhu. Om Malaka Sugandhini Malijanine Prabhu Maya Grihani Puja Pushvani Pratigreta. Om Malaka Sugandhini Malijanine Maya Grihani Puja Pushvani Pratigreta.
Principal Bhavati Mahadev Ki Jai. Let's all stand as we have all things. Prince Volumapati Mahadev ki Jai. May I, on behalf of members of the Shri Parameshwari Durga Devi Ashram and its management, extend the most cordial welcome to tonight's second night of our devotion. And before we go into our scriptures tonight, let me invite the Secretary of the Ashram to brief you a little bit on some of our protocols here.
On my behalf, I'd like to welcome you as well to tonight's second night of our ongoing Shiv Puran Yagya. There are a few protocols I'd just like to inform everybody about. Firstly, outside, have it, and then you can come back inside. In case of an emergency, please follow all instructions. You'll exit through this door and through the front, right, on the road, and you will await further instructions. Yes, we have lessened a little bit of our COVID protocols, but please still be mindful that we are still dealing with the pandemic. Well, not the pandemic so much, but the virus. And please observe whatever protocols there are. If you're sneezing or coughing and you need to wear your mask, do that. If not, just step outside and then you can come back inside. So, some of the people were asking last night about doing RT and stuff by the murtis. Now, from tonight it will be allowed after the conclusion of satsang and after the conclusion of puja. There are a few guidelines though when that is concerned. When you do RT, there are two Parameshwari Pundits will be there to assist you. Please, absolutely no touching of the murtis. You are not allowed to step up onto the altar. If you have flowers or anything, you can put in the silver trays at the front of the murtis. And Guruji will guide you accordingly during the course of the night where that is concerned. Thank you.
Prem se bolo Bhagavati Mahadev ki Jai. So before we go into tonight's discourse, let us sit upright. Let us clasp our hands together, close our eyes, bow our heads. Let us concentrate on Bhagwan Ganapati, he who is the giver of success, the remover of all obstacles, and is always first and foremost among the host of the Devatas. We seek the blessings of Devi Saraswati, through whose blessings our intelligence are open and we are able to assimilate knowledge. Bow down in humble submission to the feet of our most reverend Guru, he who is the link between humanity and divinity. And bow down to Bhagwan Shiva, presiding deity of this Yagya, for his guidance, his blessings, and his protection. Saraswati महाभागे विद्याकमल विरोचिनी विद्यारूपे विशालक्षे विद्यादेहि नमोस्तुते। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय। नागेन्द्रहाराय त्रिलोचनाय भस्मांगराय महेश्वराय नित्याय शुद्धाय दिगंबराय तस्मै नकाय नमः शिवाय। मंदाकिनी सलिल चंदर चर्चिताय नंदीश्वर प्रमात महेश्वराय मंदार पुष्प बहुसुपूजिताय तस्मै मकाय नमः शिवाय। शिवाय गौरी वरावृंदाय सूर्याय दक्षाय द्रवनाक्षराय श्रीनीलकंठाय वृषभध्वजाय तस्मै शिखाय नमः शिवाय। वशिष्ठ कुंभौत भवगौतमाय मुनि इंद्रदेवर्चिकशेखराय चंद्रारक वैश्वमलोचनाय तस्मै वकाय नमः शिवाय। यक्ष स्वरूपाय जटाधराय पिनाकहस्ताय सनातनाय देवाय देवाय दिगंबराय तस्मै यकाय नमः शिवाय। पंचाक्षरमिदं पुण्यं यः पठे समन्वितौ शिवलोकापवाप्नोति शिवेन सह मोदते। ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमेव वन्दनात् मृत्युर्मोक्षे मामृतात्। ओम नमः शिवाय। नमो भगवते रुद्राय। हर हर महादेवाय नमः। प्रेम से बोलो उमापति महादेव की जय। To all our guests, we say special welcome. For those of you who are coming here for the first time, welcome. Indeed, it is through the blessings of Bhagwan Shiva that we can all gather to listen to the Katha. We are in the auspicious period of the month of Shravan, and this part of the month of Shravan, which is not affected by the Adhik Maas, is considered to be pure and worthy of doing any religious fast and rituals. Today being the Monday in the month of Shravan holds extra special significance also. And listening, it is recorded in our scriptures that performing any kind of devotion to Bhagwan Shiva in the month of Shravan, especially on the days of the Trayodashi, on the Krishna Chaturdasi, and on the Kala Ashtami in the month of Shravan, brings extra special merit. So yesterday, the start of our Yagya, it was the Kala Ashtami. That is why we started yesterday. Alright? Today being the Monday in the month of Shravan, it also gives extra blessings than any ordinary day in the month of Shravan. Okay? Later down in the week I'll tell you as the days come when the more auspicious days are coming. So those of you who are devotees of Bhagwan Shiva, intensifying your devotion during this period of time will bring you tremendous merit. Also, it is recommended that during this period of time, undertaking Tirat also brings a lot of merit to you. So just as how you leave your home and you came here to listen to Bhagwan Shiva's Katha, that is a form of Tirat. Tirat also means going from one place of pilgrimage to the other. Okay? So you continue like this for the duration of our Yagya, and you will be doing a Tirat. Okay? Tonight's discourse will be somewhat of a continuation, but with a different angle from our discourse last night. Just to briefly summarize, last night we looked at how infinite consciousness in the form of Satchitananda, unmanifested Brahm, became manifested. Alright? So we saw how Bhagwan, before the form of Bhagwan Shiva came into existence, there was nothing, just consciousness, what we call Satchitananda. Then the Brahmanara or the Omkar Brahm came into existence, and then the Brahma Jyoti, from the Omkar, the Brahma Jyoti, what I didn't tell you, that appearance of, what is the meaning of the word Jyoti, by the way? Huh? This is a common word you will hear. What is the meaning of the word Jyoti? Light, right? So that Brahma Jyoti, that after the Omkar Brahm resonated, that Brahmanara, that song, Omkar Brahm came, the Brahma Jyoti, or which is light. This light, this point of light that emerges, what today physicists is calling the Big Bang. Right? That initial song wave that shatters the silence of time and space. There is where the start of the Big Bang, or what they call the Big Bang, and the universe is said to be expanding. Even up to now, the universe is expanding. On another occasion, I'll give you the age, the current age of the universe, and that's the age of the universe presently is the exact age of Lord Brahma. And the universe will continue to exist as long as Lord Brahma exists. That is a katha for another time. Right? On the day I'm doing that, I'll give it to you to the exact date that I'm giving the information. Alright? So, tonight, after we saw that from the light, then the form of Shiva came forward, but this form was a five-head form, the Sadashiva. And then from Sadashiva, the Rudra form, or the one-head Shiva came into existence. And we saw the fivefold function of Shiva, with the five heads, the name of the five heads, and how he directs the creation, but does not get involved into the creation. Alright? So you have the creating aspect, the maintenance, the destruction, the delusion, the deluding aspect, and the granting of the moksha, and so on. Okay? And we saw, I concluded all of that, that Shiva does all of that within the confines of time and space. Remember, towards the end of the katha, I concluded by asking you what is the difference between Kal and Mahakal. Right? Just to briefly recap. Who is Kal? Kal is who? Yamaraj. Mahakal is who? Mahakal is Lord Shiva. Right? Yamaraj is the 8th incarnation of Lord Shiva. Alright? So tonight, we are going to take it up from there, where the working of Bhagwan Shiva takes place within time and space. And by the end of the ninth katha, you will see the appearance of the world's first lingam. Alright? So our katha tonight is taken from a little bit from the Bhairava Tantra and supplemented from Shiv Puran. Okay? So Vedyas is telling us that at the very dawn of creation, Lord Brahma had finished creating the basic universe. That is, all of the elemental forces was there, the earth had now started to take shape and so on. Life was now beginning to evolve upon the face of the earth. And so, Lord Brahma, looking looking and marveling at his handiwork, his creation, declares himself the supreme Lord of gods and the solely responsible for the universe coming into existence, as well as the other devatas coming into existence. So, Vedas is saying Lord Brahma became overwhelmed, his ego started to puff up a little bit, and in that state of egoistic ecstasy, he made certain declarations and proclamations in which he declares himself to be the supreme among all the gods. But while Lord Brahma was making these declarations, Lord Vishnu was listening and said, "Oh Brahmaji, be humble. Do not let your ego get the better of you. Remember, you emerged from the lotus that grew from my navel. So therefore, I am your creator. You may be the one that created this entire universe, but I am the one that gave birth to you." And so an argument starts between Brahma and Lord Vishnu, and here is where we will take our discussion from tonight. So Vedas is telling Sanat Kumar, "Oh Sanat, listen to the dialogue that occurred between Brahma and Vishnu and the consequence of such egoistic utterance." Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Mahadev ki Jai. So here it is, Lord Brahma, he has achieved a lot. And in this achievement, he became very proud and very boastful. And here is where I want to focus on a little bit. It is your right as well as your responsibility as a human being. Drop it a little bit. Your right and responsibility as a human being to excel to the best of your ability. Bhagavan Krishna gives us the guidance in Bhagavad Gita. He says, "O man, perform your prescribed duties to the best of your ability, but surrender the results of such to me. In such a way, you will not be tainted by sin." So, Lord Brahma, overcome with ego, overcome with pride, he became arrogant. And as you know, Lord Brahma has how many heads? How many Brahma has? 4 heads. And in this state of pride and arrogance, a 5th head sprouted from Lord Brahma. So he became 5-headed Panchamukh Brahma. Alright? So originally he had 4, but when the ego raised, and I will explain what this 5th head, all of you have, some of us have this more than others, and I'll show you. And I will show you why it is necessary to cut you down sometimes to save you, and why the Guru will subject you sometimes to harsh types of sadhana to get you reformed. Alright? So, Brahma is looking, and that ego, that pride, that arrogance within him as being the sole doer and the one responsible, not realizing it is the functional capacity that give him the creative power. It is the functional capacity of the Parabrahm that give Vishnu the sustaining power, and it is the functional capacity of Parambrahm that give Rudra the destructive power. So in other words, it is the Supreme Brahman that is doing everything. Alright? And Brahma seems to forget this for a few moments. And this is like some of us. We achieve a little success in life and all of a sudden we're better than everybody else. You know, in society we know people like that. Be honest. Even within our homes. And tonight is about introspection, looking at us, ourselves. Analyze yourself. When you come to forums like this, it's not to look at your neighbor and not to look at your husband or your wife. Look at yourself first. Right? Because if you find fault in others, when you point one finger forward, how much point back to you? Huh? When you extend one finger forward, that same fault is magnified many, many more times on yourself. So some of them fellas don't want to tell them that when I was in school, they had no point so again, they're doing so. Right? So, this Leela that is being played out here, Brahma is showing us, oh man, be careful. This is a play, this Leela is a play for all of us to learn this lesson. So Lord Brahma is teaching, oh man, be careful. You are supposed to achieve greatness and success. You are made in the image of God. Right? That is why when the avatar has to come, he comes in the, apart from the human animal form, he takes a human form. Right? Telling us that the human form is the highest form and it is the most divine among the forms. But when you let the ego clouds the judgment, then you become no better than the animal. So Lord Brahma, the ego, his pride, his ego, because of his achievement, got the better of him. And this is a lesson all of us must learn, that it is your right as well as your responsibility to achieve greatness. So when you write your exams and you get passes, not good passes, don't go and be boasting around amongst your family, I passed the subjects. Go in your by your altar, go by your prayer room and surrender to Bhagavan. Thank you for blessing me with the capacity to pass these exams. Offer it, that's what Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, offer the outcome to me. Our Shastras, our Upanishads, last night our Katha was taken from one of the Upanishads. And our Upanishads teaches us, the more enlightened you become, the more successful you become in life, the more educated you become, the more humble you are supposed to be. If education doesn't make you humble, you are not learning, you are being schooled, you are not being educated. That is why today we have fools with degrees. There's a big difference between being schooled and being educated. When you are educated, transformation takes place that makes you a better individual. When you're schooled, you're just going through a process that just gives you a certificate at the end of the process. You have learned nothing. So Lord Brahma is taken up now with this state of his mind where the ego dominates him. The clarity of his mind is no longer there. And sometimes in society, in our home, in our family, when we get like a promotion, or we build a new house, or we buy a new car, we have to put down those around us. And we know people like that. And we have some of them in the family. Everybody family have them kind of people in it. Right? Everybody neighborhood have them kind of people in it. Right? This neighbor seen this one doing something in the house, all of a sudden you run and do something in the house. Buy a new curtain, put it up, he put up a new curtain. Paint the house in this color, you're gonna paint the house in that same color. And all you know, you have people like that around. So all you know very well what we're talking about. Alright? When your achievement, when you behave like that in the face of your achievement, that achievement will become the source of your downfall. It will not be a tool to elevate yourself and your family and your community. Instead, it will be a burden on your shoulder which will bring shame and disgrace to your home, to your family life, to your community. So Brahmadev is behaving like this. He's abusing everybody around, talking down to them, talking down to all the devatas, and so on. All you can tell me what to do. I'm big, I'm this one, I'm that one. You have to listen to me, do as I say. And no matter how much Lord Vishnu is trying to reason with him and calm him down, do not behave like this. Brahma was becoming more and more enraged. That fifth head that he grew started to become red in complexion. Brahma is fair. Brahmaji is very fair in complexion, just like Devi Saraswati. But that head, that fifth head that he grew, started to become red, bright red. And so, Bhagwan Shiva, who was observing all of this, decided it's time to act. This has gone too far. Through the power of his meditation, he saw that if he doesn't intervene, there will be a battle between Brahma and Vishnu, and it cannot be good for the creation. And so what did he do? Let us listen. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So here Brahma is demonstrating the destructive natures of one ego with arrogance, with anger. When you think you're superior to others because of your achievement, you tend to trample on all that is virtuous. You have no level of logical reasoning. It is only you and you alone, and whatever you say goes. Like I said, you all know our attitudes and behaviors like this. It's in the workplace, it's in the home, it's in the community, it's in the villages, it's in parliament. Right? So, this egoistic nature, the one Shiva decides that if I don't intervene now, Brahmadev will become very violent, and that war between Vishnu and Brahma will not be good. So what did Lord Shiva did? He appeared for the first time ever. Bhagavan Shiva, instead of taking a human-like form, he took the form of a column of fire. Right? The Tejo Lingam. Tej means what? Fire. Tej means fire. Alright? So the fiery lingam appeared. And that fiery lingam appeared between Brahma and Vishnu. And from the voice that came forward from that lingam says, that individual who can find the origin of the linga or the end of it shall be declared as the supreme among gods. So this is Bhagavan Shiva's way of intervening into this conflict. So Brahma took the form of a Hamsa. What is a Hamsa? Swan, right? So he took the form of the Hamsa and he flew up to find the top of the lingam, the ending of it. Vishnu took the form of the board, Varaha, and he started to burrow down into the earth to find the beginning of the lingam. And so many years has passed. Vishnu finally admitted that the beginning of the lingam cannot be found. And so he returned to the surface. Brahma, on the other hand, because of the ego, remember the ego is clouding his logic, his thinking, his clear thinking. Right? The arrogance is clouding his clear thinking, his rational mind. And this is how an egoistic person, especially if they're in leadership position, how they don't put themselves in jeopardy, but they also put their organization in jeopardy. And so the workers around them or their colleagues around them, all of them become miserable because of their behavior. So Lord Vishnu admitted that the beginning of the lingam cannot be found. So he returned to where it all started. And Lord Brahma, not admitting that he has failed, that he cannot find the top of the lingam, he continues going up. And as he goes up, he keeps getting angrier and angrier. You know, sometimes when you're trying to do something and you're working out the way, how you just behave, they'll gosh man, I didn't know this thing was on here. You're using your Spanish and your English and your everything mixed into one and thing big, right? All of you know what I'm talking about, and all of you just do it from some point in time, right? And so Lord Brahma, to further test Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, he allowed the key flower to fall in the direction of Lord Brahma. So as Brahma goes up, he's seeing this flower coming down. Brahma caught hold of the flower and said, okay, Taki, you must come with me and testify that I have picked you up from the head of this lingam. Ketaki knows Lord Brahma he's talking to, and Lord Brahma is talking in a very arrogant way. So he gave in. He said, okay, I'll do whatever you want. Use the boss. What you will see that even though you're in a position of subordination, not because your boss tells you to do something, if you do the wrong thing, you go along too, you know. And you'll see later on that the same thing will happen. Right? Right and wrong is right and wrong. Right? Regardless of who you are. And so Lord Brahma, he returned to where Lord Vishnu was waiting, and all the other devatas was looking on at this. And he said, "Oh Vishnu," very, very proud. I said, "Oh Vishnu, I have found the end of the lingam. This Ketaki is my weakness." And all Ketaki had said, "Yes, Brahma took me from the head of the lingam." And the minute Brahma made that declaration, so what did Brahma do there in reality? What did Brahma do there in reality? Lie. Right? Told a lie. Now in life, if you want to progress in any genuine way, lies is one of your biggest holdbacks. I'm not speaking of the vocal lies you will tell to your colleague or your mother or your father or your spouse. The biggest lie that most of us indulge in is lying to yourself. Pretending when something is not. And that is the biggest lie. That lie, we convince ourselves of that lie to the extent to which we start to believe it now. And it hinders our capacity. I know sometimes when you tell one lie and you can't remember what you lie about, you get catch. Because now you just have to tell a lie to cover a lie and you can't remember. So it's a chain reaction. You can't remember what the previous lie was about, so you lie about something else too. And most of the time people just know when you're lying, you know. In society, we know people when they're living their life genuinely and when they live their life, as we say it locally, for show. That is the ones that live the illusion, live the life of a lie. They pretend to be someone that they are not, or a certain status that they are not in reality. Right? Typical example, sometimes you may not come from a well-off background, but you're lying with colleagues or friends that come from a well-off background, and you want to adopt their behavior and their lifestyle. Who is going to run into the problem there? Them or you? Because now you have to do what them doing, you have to eat the way them eating, you have to drink what them drinking, you have to dress the way them dressing, you have to socialize in the kind of place they want to socialize, and they're cheap. While you and I could go on a public holiday in Maracas, they want to fly up to London or to Paris or just for a weekend. Huh? They can afford that. Can you afford that? But no, you put in yourself, you put in your family in undue distresses to keep up with that pace of lifestyle. In other words, you live in a lie. You live in somebody else's life, not yours. Huh? So here it is, Lord Brahma, who he was lying to in reality. He's telling a vocal lie, but who he convinced of first that he really take this up from the head of the lingam. He had to convince himself. He lied to himself first, and now he's so convinced, or he's so believing that lie, he's telling others about it. Alright? And the minute that type of consciousness, Brahma starts to utter that lie, what happens? Let us hear. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Prince Bolomapati Mahadev ki Jai. So, as Brahmadev uttered that one truth, there was a rumbling of thunder and the flashes of lightning. There was earthquake all around. And from that center of that lingam now, while it was like a column of light, uniform light, it burst into flames. And from the center of that flame, a being that is dark in complexion came forward. And he came forward, standing in front of Lord Brahma, and the voice from the lingam is now instructing that being. That being is no other than Mahakal Bhairava, the fifth avatar of Lord Shiva. And so, from the lingam, Bhagwan Shiva instructs Bhairava Bhagwan that, "Oh Bhairava, you were created for the purpose of bringing justice and to destroy injustice. Therefore, punish this Brahmadev for what he has done." And listening to the words of Lord Shiva, Bhairava took up the Trishul, and he approaches Lord Brahma, and suddenly, with a swing of the Trishul, the head, the fifth head of Lord Brahma was stuck on the Trishul. Prem se bolo Shri, Kal Bhairava Bhagwan ki Jai. And so, with the fifth head, the ego of Lord Brahma removed, Brahma suddenly came to his senses. And coming to his senses, he fell flat prostrate in the form of Bhairava, and he's asking now for forgiveness. So this is what I was telling you earlier on. When you let your ego get out of control, it becomes not a blessing to you, it becomes a source of your destruction. And sometimes to save you from yourself, Bhagwan himself intervenes in such a way as to put obstacles, as to put circumstances in your way where you are now humbled. So here it is, you see, Bhagwan Shiva, he take that form of Bhairava Bhagwan and he destroyed the ego of Lord Brahma in order to save him from himself. And so, having cut off the fifth head of Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma regained his composure, and so once again the Vedic knowledge dawned back in his head. In other words, the four heads of Brahma became filled again with the Vedic mantras. And so he starts back holding, not weapons in his hand now to fight, but he starts to hold the four Vedas, like what we have here. He starts to hold the four Vedas in his hands. And that is what the four heads of Brahma do now, constantly chant mantra, so they would not get taken up by the ego anytime again. So that is why Bhagwan Krishna, again let me remind you what Bhagwan Krishna says, surrender your achievements at his feet. So when you get something good happening to you, you go in your prayer room, you go in your temple, and you thank Bhagwan first. You do a little prayer. Right? And prayer doesn't mean to say you always have to call the Baba home, you know. You can pray by yourself. You can do your little havan, you can do your little job. If it's some significant achievement, like you say, like you build a house, you can call a Pundit to bless the house. Most people, and some of you know this for a fact, because you just come here to do it. Like if you buy a new vehicle, and you just ask for dates and so on, I'll give you the dates, and then you just come here to bless the vehicle. Right. So when it has significant achievement, you offer it to Bhagwan first. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, go and achieve success, surrender the results to me. In that way you will not be tainted by sin. That is why he instructs Arjuna, no Arjuna, fight in this war, but do not fight for pleasure. fight as a matter of duty and surrender the results of it to me. And so Bhagwan, Bhairav Bhagwan, he held that head in the hand. And that head that you see in Kal Bhairav Baba hand, that is the fifth head, the head of the ego in the hand. So when you approach a Kal Bhairav Baba and you feel you is Mr. This, Mr. Big and Mr. Whoever you think is, watch out. That's the wrong fella you're playing with. Right? And in the tantric scriptures, they're telling you there are certain things, there are certain proclamations that they make. For example, if Bhairav Baba is not pleased with you and you dream he holding your head in your hand, knowing in a short space of time you're going to die at his hands. Right? Same thing they tell you, if you dream Kali Mata wearing your head and her neck, around, like a mala around your neck, in 9 days time from that dream you're going to die at her hands. Don't tempt God. Right? So that is why you keep the ego in check all the time. So now, Bhagwan Shiva is given Bhairav Baba, now that he has come into existence, he assigns him his authority and his duties. So let us hear what Bhairav Baba is in charge of. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Prem se bolo Mahapati Mahadev ki Jai. So everything has returned the calmness and peace now. So Bhagwan Shiva is given Bhairav Baba his assignment. And so he says, your name will be Mahakal Bhairava. So let us try to understand the name of this, the meaning of this word. Like last night I was telling you, your name, the meaning of your name is very important. Right? So what is the meaning of Kal Bhairava? So in two words, Kal and Bhairava, right? Bhairava is also a compound word that has 2 syllables in it. What does Kal means? In this context, Kal means time. Alright? Kal means time. Bhairava, what is the meaning of the word Bhairava? Huh? How do you think Brahma felt when he saw that flaming, enraged form of Bhairava standing in front of him? How do you think Lord Brahma felt? He felt confident or he felt frightened? Huh? Okay, when you was in school and your teacher come and stand in front of you, especially when you didn't do your homework or you didn't do your assignment or you don't know the answer to something, how does it feel? Huh? You kind of intimidated, isn't that so? Right. So you just feel fearful. The word Bhairava means frightful. Alright? It means frightful. So Kal Bhairava, one interpretation of the name is he whose form is one of fear. And this form, the meaning of this name is attached, or the fear aspect of it is brought into it when the word Kal is attached to it. Again, Kal means time. Last night I asked you, and you hear very often some of these young boys that use Islam, they're killing time. Who in reality is killing who? Can you kill time? Time is killing you. So if Lord Brahma tells you you have 70 years to live on this earth, do you know from the time you are born with your first breath of air, you no longer have 70 years to live? You know that, right? When you took birth, in the Upanishads it tell you, the day you took birth, death take birth with you. Your death already was ordained and it took birth with you. So, when the word Kal is used in front of Bhairava, he is described as being frightful. And why is of him described as being frightful? Because at the end of the day, time devours everything. No matter how developed your mind is, no matter how spiritual you are, there is always a fear when it comes to death. Isn't that so? Every one of us, we have a certain degree of fear when it comes to death. Some of us, we're so afraid that we don't even want to discuss it in our home, although we see it happening within our home, our family, our village, our community. We just choose not to entertain the thought of death will ever occur to me. Everything that happens in this world, in this life, in this universe is confined within time and space. On another occasion I'll touch on what this space is in Sanatana Dharma. But Mahakal, that is why Lord Shiva declares himself to be Mahakal. So Kal Bhairava means he who, literally it means he who controls time and he who invokes fear because of time. That is why he has a serious appearance. Also, when the word Kal is not used, the meaning of the word also change. Bhairava also means terrible. And in this context, when the word Kal is not used, what is he terrible to? He is the one who destroys your fears. So if you're afraid of dying, or if you're afraid of anything at all in this life, by worshipping Bhairava Bhagwan, you gain a certain degree of braveness in you. In the case of time devouring everything, he allows you to accept within yourself that time will eventually consume everything. That is why even in India, at the Shakti Peeths there are Bhairava Mandirs. And one of the symbols of Bhairava is a watch. You know, certain prayers when you do, you offer a little piece of gold or something like that. There's certain type of Bhairava Baba Puja, you offer a watch, a timepiece then. It has to do with the symbolism of he being the master of time. So, when he's referred to as Bhairava, he's the one that destroys the fear from with you. He helps the soul goes beyond fear. Now, he's not going to manipulate the laws of nature. He helps you go beyond fears, he helps you overcome your fear. So you accept the eventual outcome. One day, time is going to devour even you too. Alright? And that is something we all know has to happen at one point in time. So he helps you accept the reality that one day to come I will have to move on. So he helps you live your life in such a way and put preparations in place when that eventuality comes. Okay? Bhagwan Shiva says, O Bhairava, wherever the linga is established, just as you came forward from this lingam, you will be present there wherever the lingam is and be its protector. So that is why when you go to all of the Shiv mandirs in India, there is a special part of the mandir where Bhairava Puja is done. Not only in the Shiv mandirs, but in every single Devi mandir, in every single Shakti Peeth, Bhairava Bhagwan is the protector and the keeper of that Shakti Peeth. And that assignment was given to him by Durga Mata. Right? Further down you will hear how he get that assignment from her. So Bhagwan called Bhairava, he helps you overcome your fears. He is the protector of the devotees of Lord Shiva. He's wherever the lingam is, so where the lingam is, you know the devotees of Lord Shiva is going to gather there. So even if you have a lingam in your yard, know Bhairava Bhagwan is present there too. Not only Lord Shiva is worshipped there, but he is also present there too. Alright? Whether you worship in it or not, his presence is there. And that is why sometimes we tell you, if you know you can't maintain certain things, don't interfere with it. So you have the deities and them over there with you, and you're not honoring them, you're not respecting them. So obviously you're going to get the reaction of it. Okay? Bhagwan Shiva, he continues, he says, O Bhairava, where my devotees gather, you will be present there, for the purpose of protecting them. You will also be the overlord of my residence. What is the residence of Lord Shiva on earth? The city of Kashi, Varanasi. Even up to today, you cannot go to Kashi to do any kind of worship without getting the blessing of Bhagwan Bhairava. It will not work in your favor. So all pilgrimage to the city of Kashi, before you even visit Vishwanath, the Jyotirlingam that is in Kashi, you will go and visit Bhairava Baba, you will do your offerings there, and then you will proceed to the other holy places within the Varanasi. Maybe on the other occasion when Guruji comes, he will tell you about what life is like in Kashi. He born and grew up in Kashi. Alright? Bhagwan Shiva, having said, O Bhairava, you will be the protector of my devotees. So Bhagwan Shiva tells him immediately that he is to be a protector. Right? So, let me ask you this question. If Bhagwan Shiva tells him he is to be a protector, what he did to Lord Brahma, was he protecting Lord Brahma or punishing Lord Brahma? Parents, when you cut your child tail, what is that? You protecting them or you're abusing them? Are we talking within reason here now? Eh? Your mommy is doing that way? Huh? If you give your child a good cut tail, what you doing here? You're instilling discipline but you're protecting them from themselves, from that behavior that they're propagating. So Bhagwan Shiva, through the form of Bhairava, protected Lord Brahma by destroying his ego. And because the ego was so dominant, he had to use force to bring him under control. It is just like you going into surgery. Let us say, unfortunately, and I hope this happens to nobody here, let us say you're diagnosed with cancer. In order to save your life, then the doctor will have to cut out some part of you. Or maybe a more practical example. If you say you're diabetic and your foot is affected, which is common with among diabetic patients, in order to save your life, what the doctor will do? He will amputate your foot. The process is harsh, it is life-changing, but if he doesn't do it, what will happen to you? You're going to die. Okay? And that is the state which Lord Brahma had reached. And Bhairava had to, in order to save him, to pull him back to his normal self, he had to use that degree of force. Alright? Bhagwan Shiva in Shiv Puran, I'm not reading Shiv Puran, I'm reading Bhairava. Right? In Shiv Puran, he describes Bhairava Baba. He is a disciplining force of Lord Shiva. He said Bhairava Baba is of such a nature. When he comes to you, to reform you, if he chooses to punish you, he will. And he doesn't even care to question you about it after. So it's like you're getting curtailed and you know where you're getting licks for. He's that kind of person. Right? You have to check yourself and know what you did wrong then. Right? So Bhagwan Shiva said you have to be the protector. He also said, you are Kal Raj. What is meaning of Kal Raj? Raj means what? King. Kal, as you know, is time. Right? You have to be the overlord of time. And it is because of Bhairava Baba's presence. You ever wonder why time doesn't stop and why time doesn't reverse? Can you reverse time? If that was possible, I know some people want to be 16 years all the time. Some people want to be 23, 24, 25 years all the time. Huh? It is not possible for time to freeze, and it's not possible for time to stand still. No matter how advanced science becomes, it is against the laws of the universe for time to stand still or time to reverse. And there's a Shakti of Kal Bhairava that allows time to be in a forward motion all the time. Right? Time will have cycles, it will have loop, but it will never stop and it will never reverse. It always has a forward motion. Alright? So that is why you cannot go back in time, or you cannot time will never stand still. You know, sometimes in our life, some of us we do things and we have certain regrets, and all of us. We say, if I only know better, 10 years ago I'd do things different. And all of us have that kind of experience already? Right. But unfortunately we can't. So what we have to do is learn the lessons from the past while we live in the present and not repeat them. Alright? So you see Bhairava Baba being a protector. He is the overlord of time. Alright? He is the one that destroys the ego, the abhiman from within. When it becomes a threat towards your growth and development, he will use harsh methods. Just as a doctor will give you bitter medicine to get you good, he will administer harsh sadhana or disciplinary measures on you to cause you to evolve. And he continues, he says, on this earth you will reside in my city, in my home, the city of Varanasi, and you shall move around, or your vahan will be what? Huh? What is in the dog? Yes. What is the name? This is how Shiva, the bull and Shiva's rider's name is what? And the bird Garuda's ride is? I'll tell you the name. The name the bird Vishnu's ride is Garuda, right? What is the name of Bhairav Baba dog? Or some other mining dog home here, they say dog, 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 come. And the dog have a name? What is the name? Shwana Vahana. Right? And that word, Shwana, means he who is always alert. You know, before, a dog is so sensitive, because something happens to you, a dog can know it. You know that? That is why they train dog, or what they call service animals, alright? They can help the blind. And I've seen recently where they train dogs to help in the medical field. Like if your blood sugar is going to spike, the dog will pick up that odor from your body and know that you're going to get sick. Alright? And the dog will start to behave in a particular way. Everybody knows dogs, they fought in World War II. And even up to today, the police service all over the world, they use dogs. And these dogs in the police service, they are given the same status as an officer. You know, if you assault a police dog, it's just as though you assault a policeman. And you can get charged as though you assault a policeman. Right? When you go to the airport and they have these sniffer dogs and they are trained to detect narcotics and illegal, even down to things like bombs and so on. The residual effect of the C4 or whatever explosive they're making the bomb with. Alright, so you all know dogs can do these things. Alright, so the dogs are always alert. Sometimes you could be home and you don't know anybody around, but the dog will start behaving in a particular way to alert you that there's a stranger around. Not only a strange person. If other stray dog coming in your compound, what will happen? Ruction too bad, eh? Don't talk about if it's a stray cat. If they catch him, they make choke out with him. Right? So, this Vahan of Bhairav Baba, the dog, represents our alertness. We have to be alert like that creature. Right? And it's only when you are alert, then you will avoid the pitfalls, like the ego getting out of control and so on. Okay? And so, Bhagwan Shiva, he continues the assignment of Bhairav. He says, you will be present at all of my yagyas, all of my pujas. After it is concluded, whatever is remained will be yours. Right? So after all the offerings, all the devotees is taken, whatever remains, it belongs to Bhairav Baba. Alright? So it is not yours to put away. That belongs to Bhairav Baba. That is why sometimes in certain type of prayers, when things like ghee or whatever offering, that is used directly on the deity, and it remains back, we tell you, go use that. Either offer it in the river or offer it in the oven, burn it out, because we know you cannot reuse it again. Alright? And so Bhagwan Shiva, a very long discussion here, he and Bhairav Baba. If I go to do all of this, it will take away from the time that I want to describe other things with you. Alright? So, having attained the assignment of Lord Shiva, this avatar of Lord Shiva now, being instructed by Bhagwan what his assignments are, what he presides over, and his duties and responsibility on earth, he now becomes, Bhagwan Shiva says, O Bhairava, because of your nature, to save humanity from themselves, you will not reside in the heavens. You will reside on this earth. So that is why there are certain deities that stays on earth permanently. You know that, right? Hanuman is one. You know, Bhagwan Shri Ram left Hanuman back on earth for the same reason. And here you see Bhagwan Shiva is telling Kal Bhairav, you reside on earth. That is why he gave him the city of Kashi to live in. Alright? So Bhairav Baba is also on earth. Now why for us to know? These deities that are earthbound, it is easier to please them in Kali Yuga than to please devatas that don't reside in our load. Right? For example, you know Lord Vishnu reside in Vaikunt. Alright? If you want to use the time-space continuum, you will have to perform many, many years of harsh tapasya to get the attention of Lord Vishnu. Because that energy vibration will have to transverse time and space. Compare now to if you are right here, the energy or the power of the mantras will reach the deity faster. It is like you're making a long distance phone call and a short distance one. Right? So if your phone call is like right here to there, you know you're going to get through the call faster. Compared to if you're going international, sometimes you have to put up a distortion and all kind of interference and so on. And then depending on the type of phone and the service around, you have to know the positions of the satellite at the time the call is being made and all that kind of things. Right? So that is why sometimes in our Puranas you'll hear sages and they're spending lifetimes and lifetimes upon a devotion, because sometimes that energy to reach these deities and them. Like for example, when Lord Shiva locks himself away in meditation, and he loses himself in meditation, and you'll see that tomorrow night Katha. You think he had time with you? You will go and you doing your devotion over here. That is why it takes years upon years upon years. When that energy built a certain extent, and then if the vibration influences him, then he wakes up from the meditation to know what is that energy feel around him. The same thing with Lord Vishnu. When he is in Vaikunt, again, through the time-space continuum, the amount of mantras and the amount of devotion, you have spent lifetimes doing that devotion. But the deities that are on earth, you will have to perform significantly less, but still pure devotion to get their blessings. So that is why it is in Kali Yuga. It is easier to please Lord Hanuman, it is easier to please Kal Bhairav Baba, it is easier to please Vaishno Devi, but these are the devatas that reside on earth presently. Alright? So Bhairav Baba is on earth, and he is present wherever the Shiv Lingam is. He is present where the Shakti Pizza, where Durga Mata is worshipped also. Okay? His assignment is protection, and he guides your development. He's one of the deities responsible for the evolution of your soul. And he does it within time and space. In other words, everything happens within time. You have to be patient. One of the lessons Bhairav Baba teaches is patience. Alright? He does not waste time. He's very efficient with time. But you have to be patient for it, for things to unfold. Okay? You know, in Trinidad, when I tell about somebody, you have an appointment for 9 o'clock, and they want to show up 9:30 and 10 o'clock a day. That is time wasted there, isn't that so? But Bhairav Baba, if he tell you 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock mean 9 o'clock. It doesn't know 1 minute past 9, 2 minutes past 9, and it doesn't nothing like that with him. Right? He does not, he is very efficient with time. He's a master of time. So he knows the value of time. Safety and protection is also associated with Kal Bhairav Baba. That is why, well, not in Trinidad, but people who are involved with security work in India, there's a special prayer they would do, and they would surrender the keys of that building. They do it in all the temples though. Right? When they go to lock the temples, they will offer the keys at the feet of Bhairav Baba. And then when they come in the morning, they will bow to him and take the keys and they will open the temple. People who are involved in security type work in India, they have a special type of prayer they would do, and they will do that same ritual. Okay? So Bhairav Baba is responsible for protection, he's responsible for guiding the soul, the development of the soul, and he is there as the person in charge of, at a cosmic level, at the forward march of time. Now Bhairav Baba himself, this is Mahakal Bhairav, that's the original form that came from Bhagwan Shiva. But Bhairav Baba further divides himself into 8 parts. Right? So they are what we call the Ashta Bhairavas. And each one of these Bhairavas now, they take 8 other forms. So 8 8s are Exam done, school closed, all you forget all the marks? 8, 8, sir? How many yoginis we have? Chausat yoginis. Chausat means 64. So these 64 Bhairavas, they are the consort of the Chausat yogini. Alright? Whenever we do Devi Bhagavatam again, I will tell you what those yoginis and those Bhairavas are. But the 8 principal Bhairava that came directly from Kal Bhairava, they are there as the directional Bhairava for the purpose of protection and to help the soul evolve. So you hear the word, so their names, sometimes you hear the name Asitanga Bhairava, meaning who is shining. Guru Bhairava, he's like a guru. Chandra Bhairava, he's shining like the moon, he controls the mind. Krodha Bhairava, you know, in every class have a stubborn child, a child like to give trouble. The Krodha Bhairava is a disciplined form of Bhairava. Unmata Bhairava, he is the one that comforts, and so on. Alright, so you have the Ashta Bhairavas, and from the Ashta Bhairavas, you have the other minor Bhairavas coming into existence. There is a text called the Bhairava Tantra. There is a book, and in that there is a significant part of that, where a discussion is taking place between Bhairava and his consort. Who is the consort of Bhairava? She is one of the Mahavidyas, Bhairavi Devi. Alright? So, a discussion between Bhairava and Bhairavi, in which Bhairava Baba is teaching the principles of yoga. Some of the most authentic teaching of the Ashtanga yoga system is given by Kal Bhairava Bhagwan. He is the yoga guru. And learning directly from Bhairava Baba, so this is how yoga became, well, one of the ways, because there are many yoga gurus that came afterwards. Right? The more popular one in this age and time is Patanjali. But in this time, in the Satyug time, Bhairava was the one that became the master of the yoga system. And with the passage of time, he got one of his shishya by the name of Goraknath. And this Goraknath is said to be a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva, who was responsible for propagating Hatha Yoga. And that same Hatha Yoga now, what is Hatha Yoga? Has to do with all of these physical postures. Like you see these yogis and them, they're doing certain type of headstands and handstands, and they'll be doing some kind of backward kind of postures and so on. Once it has to do with physical motion and twisting the body and so on, that is part of Hatha Yoga. Alright? Now what the Western world passes off as yoga is very fancy gymnastics. It has nothing to do with yoga. Because what is described as yoga in our scriptures does not only involve physical motion, but it also involves breath control. You cannot eliminate one from the other. Pranayama is always a major part of any type of yogic practice. Anytime you separate pranayama from the physical motion of the yoga, or the asanas and things that they practice, you are not doing yoga, you're doing some kind of gymnastics there. Alright? So everything that you see these Westerners, they practice and they teach you, and all of a sudden yoga is a big thing right now in America, you know. And in every corner in New York, you see some shop popping up. But this time, it had nothing to do with the authentic yoga tradition in our scriptures. It's just a money-making thing. Alright? They just rebrand some workout technique in the gym, and they just give it a fancy name just to make money and they get fame. Yoga helps you go within yourself. Yoga helps you keep the body and mind healthy, not just the body alone. You cannot ignore the mind. The mind is a central focus of what yoga is. What is the meaning of yoga? To be in union with. So the body, the mind and the spirit must be in union with God consciousness. So you can't have like some of these American videos you see. They say they're doing some yoga workout, but it's all kind of rubbish music they're playing in the background while they're doing your workout. Actually, the majority of the yogic practice is supposed to be done in silence. So don't get fooled by commercialization, don't get fooled by... And you know what is the sad thing is? Some of these people who go on and claim they're doing yoga workout is some of even Hindu people, you know. In other words, this is your heritage. You inherit this more than any other culture, and this is what you give, this is yours first. And you're going to like somebody else to tell you how to use your own thing. And when you go by them now to tell you how to use it, it's rubbish they're telling you to use. Everything to do with yoga and meditation. No other dharma. The Abrahamic faiths don't teach those things. Right? It is only Sanatan Dharma has introduced the world to yoga and meditation. So Bhairava is also chiefly one of the yoga gurus there is. And when we talk about this type of yoga, it is more the physical aspect of the yoga, the asanas and so on. And that time that he came into existence, he was the main guru of it. With the passage of time, there are other yoga gurus. Like I said, in our time, or the most recent time, that is the time of after the time of Adi Shankaracharya, Patanjali and so on, they were the yoga gurus who simplified the process and allowed it to continue. Right? So there's a variety of yoga. There's Kriya Yoga, which is practiced by Babaji and Yogananda Paramahamsa and so on. Right? There is Hatha Yoga, which has to do with the physical exercises and so on. Surya Namaskar. Some of you know Surya Namaskar. All of those asanas, all of those postures, those and each one of them, they have their mantras assigned to it. You know that? Every one Namaskar is 12 postures. And each one of those 12 postures have its own mantra to chant. Okay? That is what yoga is. Not them fancy chauvinists you see this be doing in them video thing in YouTube and the marketing channels and so on. Alright? So tonight, I hope that I helped you understand a little bit about Kalvairo, how he emerged. Alright? And you see, he's a protective deity. He's also the one that will help reform you. He's also the master of time. Now, we have intentions. The reason why I'm not going further than this, because I have intentions in the future. I'm not saying this next year, because Guruji already planning something for next year for all you. At some point in time, I'm going to do a complete Bhairava Baba Yagya. So we'll have 7 nights of Yagya to understand Kal Bhairava. And all of these things that I introduced today, I'll be taking it into all its detail. Like the 8 forms of Bhairava, I can do each one night in each form. So that's the whole idea. Alright? So there's a lot of information. These 2 books here, Bhairava Tantra. I can't do this in 7 nights. Right? Bhairava Baba is also what we call Kshetrapala Bhairava. What is the meaning of Kshetrapal? And I have to touch on this before we close today. Kshetrapal, Bhagavan Shiva says, you will become Kshetrapal. What is the meaning of Kshetra? Kshetra means what? Land, property. Right? The place where you reside is called Kshetra. Right? Kshetrapal meaning he is the Lord, the overlord of all land properties. So that is why when you're going to do anything and the Bhumi Puja has to be done, Bhairava Baba has to be worshipped. So when you're going to do your foundation and thing for your house, certain prayers has to be done, it's Bhairava Baba you have to worship. How many of you could remember long ago, if you grew up in an agricultural community, you will know before the old people and them plow their land and order plant their crops. They power the land. Huh? They give respect to Bhairava Baba first before they interfere with the land. Right? Now, because of family tradition, some people do it how they inherited from their parents. Some is right, some is wrong. I'm not going to touch on that tonight. Alright? But I'm telling you, Bhairava Baba is what we call Kshetrapal. what I want to clear up tonight, from a scripture point of view, not a cultural point of view, from a scripture point of view, this thing that is called D in Trinidad does not exist in our scripture. Kshetrapal is mentioned, Bhairava is mentioned. Guruji will tell you, it is only when he travels outside of India to Guyana, Trinidad and the Caribbean Hindus, he will get this thing on D coming up. What we call D in Trinidad is really Bhairava Baba as Kshetrapal. Alright, the Lord that manages all the land property. Okay? So, those of you who do your D Puja, whatever you call it, D Puja, is really Bhairava Baba you're worshipping. Alright? And there is a procedure. There is a fixed procedure given both for personal worship as well as formal puja like on a baby. There is even special way of doing his hawan. There is even special, like I told you just now, we're going to do some type of Bhairava Baba Yagya, right? In which knowledge will be given, reading of the scriptures. Okay? So all this information will be given to you at some point in time. Okay? So you know what that means? All of us have to keep up to date of what we have in the mandir and feel free to crash me whenever you want. Right? This mandir built for that purpose. Okay? Attend anything we have in and be part of it. It's part of the learning process. It's part of the developmental process. Okay? So at this point in time, I will bring tonight's discourse to an end because I know I've given a lot of information tonight. Right? We have reflected on the of our bad behavior, of our ego, and we see how it gets us in trouble, and we see sometimes God intervenes in a very harsh way to bring us, to reform us, and we are also seeing this form that is known as Bhairava Baba, his assignments as a protector, as the Kshetrapal, as the master of time, right, and the one that removes fear from our life. Prem se bolo Shri Kal Bhairav Bhagavan ki Jai. So we will have Shiva Bhajan at this point in time while we conduct our final hawan. So just to bring up the date, today we saw the appearance of the lingam. So the very first lingam was made out of what? Huh? It was made out of fire, right? Fire. Tejo lingam. It was made out of light, fire. So yesterday we ended where Shiva does everything in the confines of time and space. Today we move now to discussing the master of time, but the appearance of the Tejo lingam. So tomorrow we are going to look at the benefits of worshipping the Shiva lingam, and a special type of Shiva lingam. We are going to look at the benefits of worshipping the Prithvi lingam. What is the meaning of the word Prithvi? Huh? Prithvi means what? Earth, right? So, like I told you, this is the month of Shravan, and there are special types of devotion that is usually done in this month of Bhagavan Shiva. Parvati Mata was the one that gave this devotion to the earth, to the human beings. So we are going to look at the benefits of doing the Prithvi Devi worship. So for those of you who are very sick, or those of you who have unusual amount of troubles and difficulties, or those of you who have a lot of family conflict, or those of you who, because of poverty, you do not have a proper meal or ways to pay your bills and so on, this type of devotion is very important to you in this month of Shravan. So come tomorrow to hear the benefits of the Prithvi lingam devotion. Alright? So that class will start tomorrow, and if I don't finish its detail tomorrow, I'll take it to the next day. Alright? But it's something very important that you all should know and understand. And this is nothing strange, right? Because when Ganesh Utsav comes and they do worship with the Murti, when the Devi Ashram comes and they do worship with the Devi Murti, right? Worshiping the Prithvi lingam. But this is different from, it has its difference. While you go to the puja store and purchase your Ganesh Murti, the Prithvi lingam cannot be purchased. Right? You have to make it. And there are certain mantras when you're making it. Whatever is troubling you, whether it's natural or unnatural, it gets absorbed and trapped in the dirt. Alright? So come tomorrow and you'll hear the origin of the Prithvi lingam and its benefits. Like I said, what I don't finish tomorrow, I will take it to another day. That is something important, and it's something that you all should do at some point in time. Principal Umapati Mahadev Ki. So before we go to our arati, let me remind you, on Thursday we will be having our Shiv Shakti Puja. So everybody, whoever you are, if you want to come and do your offerings, all you need to do is to walk into your lota with milk and a carrier with some kind of prasad offering. Even if you don't want to prepare it, if you want to keep it very simple, you can offer fruits alone. You all know what's compulsory with Shiva. You must have your bay leaf in your tarya. You know that? No offering to Lord Shiva is complete without offering the bay leaf. Okay? So you have your bay leaf, you have whatever you choose, or whether it's sweets, whether it's fruits, whether you want to make elaborate prasad, it's up to you. Right? You bring your milk in your lota and we will allow everybody. Now we bring that before we read in this process. Right? As soon as the baby puja is finished, at around 6 o'clock, everybody who is here to do that offering, gather here for that time. Right? So you come up one by one and you do your offering from the lingam. Alright, or in family groups, depending on how you arrange, and you will get a chance to do your offering. Okay? So everybody, like I told you, it is the month of Shravan. It is a month specially dedicated to Bhagavan Shiva. Take every opportunity you have. Don't waste the time. Alright? Especially in the field of devotion, you do not put off something that you know you can do now. How many of you are guaranteed, you're 100% sure, next year month of Shravan you're going to be around? Huh? The same Lord Shiva, he said he's called to, he's Yamaraj. So worshipping as Shiva as Mahadev, before he comes to you as Yamaraj. Right? So everybody is invited to take part in Shiva. And if you have little flowers and things in your yard and things, bring. When you come in here, I keep telling you all Sunday morning as well as otherwise, when you go to a mandir, never go with your hand shaking. Bhagavad teaches us you never go to a mandir with your hand shaking. Even just a little bit of flowers and a carry. When Sudama was going to visit Krishna, he was so poor. He had to borrow a handful of rice from Eva to carry to Bhagavan Krishna. And when Bhagavan Krishna received the rice, the blessings he got was beyond what he could imagine. So there's where the tradition is. When you're going to God, or you're going to God's home, you don't, yes, some of you have donated, a lot of you here have donated to making this Yagya what it is today. And yes, you have did that part. But Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yone Bhaktya Samadhavai. Right? It's simple leaf and flower fruit when you come into his devotion. Right? So if you have it, once you have it and then you're not using it, we have used it here on occasions like this. Okay? Because when we're doing things like this, while everybody may have a one-day use by the house, even me, I wouldn't have enough to execute an entire year. And then there are so many activities we have during the course of the year. So if you have little leaves and flowers that you know you need to use, feel free to bring them in. We will make use of it. Right? It is something you can put away, like the leaves and so on. You use what you can and store the rest of the next day use. It will go to waste. Alright? Prince Guru Mahapati Mahadev ki Jai. And those of you who wish to come and do Arti on the altar, you are allowed to come up on the altar. Just don't touch the murti and don't put your foot on the green surface of the altar. Alright? Please obey the instructions of these two pundits. These two boys will remain here. Alright? You are allowed to, if you have to do offering of money or flowers, there are some silver trays in which the diyas are lighted. You can put it in those silver trays. Alright? But you're not allowed to walk on that green surface and you're not allowed to physically touch the murti. If you want to take out pictures too, no problem. Right? But we're not allowing anybody to put their hands on the murti. Okay? So let us all stand as we have our concluding arati. As we come to an end of the night's devotion, we give thanks to God for the opportunity to congregate, to perform our puja, engage in our bhajan and kirtans, our discourses. We seek forgiveness if we have any irresponsibility. Lastly, we ask to have our desires fulfilled, all obstacles removed from our daily life. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om mantrahinam priyahinam bhaktihinam janardanam yat pujatam maya deva paripurnam tarastu me ayena vacha manasendriyaitva buddhyatmana va prakriti swabhagya karomi adyan sakalam tarasmai narayaneti samarpayami narayaneti samarpayami.
Shri Narayana
Durga Mata ki, Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki, Satyanarayan Swami ki, Principal Shri Satya Sanatan Dharma ki, Jai Jai Sitaram. Take your seats. Just remain seated for a few minutes. Our tea will pass around. When you're ready to leave, your meals and prasad and so on will be on the outside. So feel free to get your meals and so on before you leave. Before we go further, let me acknowledge the presence of members of our Brahma Vidya Pita, that is Guruji's Ashram. Alright, so Vindra, Paran, Suvagi. Alright, welcome to our Ashram, and we hope you all can join us for other nights of this Yagya. Also in our presence is Mr. John Narayan, the treasurer of the Karatal Krishna Mandir. Welcome you to our ashram, and we hope that you too can join us again in devotion during the course of this Yagya. So at this point in time, we will have our tea passed around. Those of you who wish, before interviewing the salt food, if you wish to come up on the altar, no problem. Feel free to come up and do so. And we are offering just to pay your respects, and then you can go to the back and get your prasad and your panchamrits and your meals. Again, tomorrow we start puja at 5 o'clock, and because it's a broken day, and we'll try to come up at the same time tomorrow. Alright, and for security reasons. Okay? You can feel free to come. When you come here, it's safe. As you can see, we have armed security, keeping an eye on your people. So when you're here, your mind will be in devotion, nothing worrying about what we're going to do. Alright? Principal Gopati Mahadev ki